Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Burnout Podcast. My name is Skip O, and I'd like to talk to you about our sponsor today, Throttle and Thrive. You can go to throttleandthrive.com and check out what they got to offer. It's a 6-bed facility for men. In the future, they're working on one for women, but Shawn is the CEO. Give her a call. Check out the place, do a virtual meeting, or go there, visit if you're there in California. Remember, that's throttleandthrive.com. Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show, the Burnout Podcast. My name is Skip O, and I will be not your host today, but your guest. We got yours truly, our producer, Shawn Neal, is in the house. Shawn, thank you for being here, man.
Skip, good to see you, my friend. You look good. You just came back from like overseas, across the pond, as they say. It's good to see you, man.
Well, nice to see you too. I know we're gone for almost a month, and we did the Walk Out of the Darkness for first responders for mental health and suicide prevention. And we talked a lot about it. You know, we had some shows before this, but it was an experience that I underestimated the walk. I underestimated a lot of different things. But what happened there was amazing. I can't, the connections, the inspiration, it was just amazing. And the little concert afterwards, after it was all done, was the best concert I've ever been to in my life. That's
really cool. I'm looking forward to talking to you about this. I think there's a lot here to unpack.
Well, you know, it's just been an amazing journey. It's hard to, say where you start on this, and not be too boring for the audience members, but I'll hit the key points, and the takeaways from this. And Shawn, I'm going to throw it to you. You ask any question, you be my guide, and we'll go from there.
You heard it, my friends. He said, ask any question. So I'm taking all questions via Skip's website, burnoutpodcast.org. Feel free to drop your questions in there. I'll answer, or I'll ask him anything. You opened yourself up for that one, Skip. Here we go. Ready?
Let's do it.
First of all, let's talk about this walk. So this started in St. Bees, UK, and you went 192 miles to Robin Hood's Bay. You started on August 24th. And when did you officially end? Like when was that complete?
That was complete. I believe it was September 7th, Shawn, on a Saturday.
So you were right on target. I'm checking you against the website. It said you expected to be done by the 7th, and you were. Yeah,
we had to pick up some long days to get there, and then had to maneuver. But we got there on the 7th, and we have the Matt Cookman walk us in, playing the guitar down to Robin Hood's Bay to the tea, toast, and post shop.
All right. Now, if you're not familiar with Matt Cookman, here's a quick sample of Matt's music.
The darkness into the light. Believe in yourself. You gotta put up a fight. You put your left foot out there in front of your right. Walk out of the darkness and run. Run to the light. Oh.
Yeah, and that's Matt Cookman. You can check out his music there at mattcookman.com. And now I know you keep saying we, it wasn't just you. So Chuck Bray, Captain Chuck, was on this walk with you. Is that right?
That's correct. It's Captain Cowboy Charles O'Bray.
The cowboy.
The cowboy came
I feel
on.
Like there's a story that goes with this.
There is a story. We're on our walk or on our hike, and then we met up with some hikers, and Chuck started talking. Well, Chuck's from Georgia. He's got that Southern twang, and some girl looked up at him. Oh, you sound like a cowboy. And I took that and I ran with it. So it's Cowboy now. I don't care what anybody else calls him. His name's Cowboy to me.
We've got to get that to everyone that works with him. Like now, share this podcast.
Absolutely. We got some good stuff that we'll share with his people, but I got some good stuff that I'm going to share with to help Chuck out too. There was a kind of a bet, really as a motivation thing, but they were saying taking days what time he'd fall out or would quit. And he never quit. He took the lead and he ended strong. And he kind of, showed those young pups at, I can never say it, DeKalb County, Georgia, what it is to be an old guy, old school dude finishing a hike.
Not old, just seasoned.
Thank you for that correction, sir. That's why you're the producer.
So 192 miles. I want to put that in perspective for a minute. 192 miles, you're talking what on average, if you just stretch that out, that's like 11, 15 miles a day, something like that.
Yeah, that's around 13 miles. And it depends,
Okay.
it just depends what days. Some days were lighter miles because you're going up mountains. These aren't hills. Now, I got lied to by a bunch of people in England. There's this thing called Dent Hill. It's not a hill. It's a dang mountain. It's a mountain. And when they say they get a little rain, no, they got hurricane weather rain over there. So I just want to let everybody know about England. They kind of are very proper about their English, and they downplay stuff to be a little cool. So it's a lie to me, though.
And then you get over there and you realize that this is a mountain, which makes the 192 miles even more
mountains. Yeah. It's not a mountain, it's mountains. And that's something I learned. There's plural over there that they didn't know. I didn't know it was plural. I thought it was just a mountain. No, it's mountains that we walked up and over.
Good stuff to know if you're headed that direction. Now, the vision was to bring like-minded first responders from around the world together and have conversation about how to keep first responders safe for today. I think that this is noteworthy in the fact that, it's not just a couple of people making a hike. It's about what you can draw in terms of conversation, attention, and really, I think, overall awareness about mental health, especially in the first responder community. How do you feel that played out, and how effective do you think this was being over there to do this?
Well, I have to say first, Pete Lewin, a good friend of mine, a paramedic over there, he does Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. First of all, he came and picked us up in London at the airport, let us stay at his house. We did a memorial swim to raise money for cancer, and it was also a memorial for his daughter. It was a year since she passed away. But as far as getting closer to Pete and being able to be here in his time that it was tough for him, was amazing. He took us up to St. Bees. It's like a 2.5 hour drive, 3 hours. And then he wasn't planning on it. He stayed with us and began the walk with us. He wasn't even planning on walking. And then another guy he's from Scotland, Scottish. He showed up and he camped out the night before, and his name's Pete too. Now, his nickname's Animal Pete. That's what they called him when he's in the military, and that's what I plugged him with as Animal Pete. There's Pete, Newfie Pete, and then Animal Pete. This dude is a rock star in my book of hikers. He took us under his wing. He's done it before, started the walk off with us. And then they did a half day the first day, and he walked Pete back to his car because Pete just didn't have his walking shoes on. And then he supported a group there for suicide prevention himself too. And then it was just amazing. It was amazing to start the walk off, to collaborate with that. Then we have Andy's Club for Men. It's two guys that we met for lunch, plus they came at the end of it. They did a 5,000 mile drive with their motorcycles and camped out for Andy's Club for Men for suicide prevention. We met them, and we're collaborating with them now.
Wow. Amazing. So really very effective. And I really want to kind of dive into this because first of all, I've walked beside you for 2 miles. I'm almost embarrassed to say it now, for 2 miles in I think you did 30, what was it? Like 37, 39, 150 miles you were walking.
That day.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you are a machine. I don't care what you say. You are a machine, Skip. Like it took everything I had to keep up with you, your pace. I mean, like you were on it. And I mean, even going over there, and I know you prepped and trained and did some things to build that up. Like if I were with you on day 5 of this adventure, what would Skip have been telling me on day 5 of this 192 mile walk?
I would have said, Shawn, slow down. You're going too fast. I tell you, it's different between going on flatland and then going on mountains or hills. And then carrying a backpack, that's a game changer. It's it's a game changer. And then you watching your water, we have to, carry carried water with us, but we had filters that we could get into streams in the Lakeview area. But day 5, we got over the mountains, and we were just worn out. It just took a lot out of us, but we were determined, because most people, they say when they start, they quit in the Lake District. And then we had Animal Pete, when we had service, he'd call us on WhatsApp and say, man, you guys are almost there. You're doing great. We're up on top of a mountain. And this guy is coaching us, pumping us up, making us feel good. And I'm just picking them up feet, putting them down. We got 70-mile-hour gust winds on this mountain.
Wow.
We're using our walking poles to keep us from blowing over the edge. And I'm not exaggerating. I was 33 years on the fire department, and I was scared. So was Chuck. We did a little video we didn't post on Facebook, and we were pretty much saying goodbye, because that 5 minutes, there's no rescue up there in those conditions. It's body recovery. And that was the thing and the locals there said, after we got done, we hadn't seen this much rain or this much weather before. I was like, oh, that's great. So we're the first. Yay!
There you go. Yeah. And you come back to tell about it. So I'm glad.
But if you come on, it's just like Matt, he joined us, and Matt Cookman, him and his wife and my wife flew in and Matt walked with us a day and a half. And he walked in one of the days that was bad too. He started off having a good time. Then at the end of it, my God, he was worn out like us. But he was amazing too, singing, jumping around, and just we had a good time with Matt and his wife Connie.
That's cool. And the reason I asked that is because, it's easy for me to sit behind this microphone and tell you what a great job you did. But I think when, hearing day 5, you had faced some seriously frightening, scary, whatever you want to call it, circumstances, and you kept going and you kept going. And I think that that's a testament to the first responder in you, number one, but B, it is that mission that you have inside of you that I know very well. And I'd love for you to talk about like what it is that keeps you going to day 6 when you're out there. Like what's going through your mind, and what is your drive to keep going?
Well, that's a good question, Shawn. I know for me, a lot of different things, but the one thing that resonated 2 years ago when me and Diana was at Robin Hood's Bay, when we were with Pete, we was in that the tea, toast, and coffee shop, tea, toast, and post shop, and Luke is the owner of that shop. I heard guys singing back in the ground doing dishes. Ended up he's the owner, and he's a musician. But we learned his story that a family member died by suicide. And as I was talking to him, and I left, I looked back and I seen Luke smiling at me, waving. Something happened. I needed to do something for this guy. And I didn't know what it was. Had no clue then. A lot of different circumstances happened. And then I got a hold of Luke about 8 months ago. I said, Luke, I'm going to do this walk. I didn't realize that quitting Robin Hood's Bay, could we finish in your shop and do a little concert? Yeah, man. Come on. We'll do the concert. We'll do it in the shop. We'll close down for setup. And he brought his groups in, brought Matt Cookman, brought Kenny and Joe that are artists there in England. And my drive was Luke. I had a whole lot of people that touched my life, but I couldn't quit thinking about him. And the thing is, you get rocks from St. B's, and you carry them with him so you can toss them in to there. So I had a rock for him that I want to give to him. And I just said, I'm going to finish. I don't care how I do it. I fell 4 times. I hurt my knee started swelling up, and Chuck had an extra brace. I put that on there. And I just kept going. And Chuck kept me going. He was a mule, man, stubborn mule. He was not going to quit. He could get ahead of me, and I couldn't keep up because I'm too busy taking pictures and videos. And but Luke was the one. I needed to finish. That was the only thing I had in my mind. I'm going to finish for him. I got a message to give him. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to say or do, but it worked itself out.
Yeah, I think it's important because, there's this other side of recovery that people, we hear about it, and sometimes we get to see it lived out. And the other side of recovery is that, people can go on and do really amazing things then to help other people through that journey. and to help other people and support other people in their struggle, whether it's, substance use disorder, whether it's mental health awareness and issues, like whatever it is, like as you grow and learn and become stronger in your journey, like you tend to reach out and want to help others. And I think that's, it's a testament to your story here and what you're talking about with him and how that carries on.
Yeah, I got a friend for life there. It's just him and all the other people that I met. And then I seen so many stories pan out that other people didn't know about that I just seen work out, like Pete and Jen's daughter dying of cancer. When we did that swim a week before we did the walk, we went and did a swim with the newfies. And then we met this young kid on the trail, just 2 miles. And we had these phones that we could use and show us the trail, it'd show the blue dot, and even if it was offline, you could still see it. This young kid had a little map and a compass, and that's what he was using. He was 19 years old by himself with his huge backpack on, walking down the trail. He walked about 3 miles with us because you don't see a whole lot of people on the trail, but he wanted to know who we were. And I just told him what we were doing. And he go, "Are you famous?" I go, "No, we're not famous." He goes, "Are you trying to be humble?" I said, "No, we are not famous." Because a lot of hikers will talk about people when they're hiking because you see them. And they were talking about these American hikers and what we were doing it for. And we didn't know any of that was going on at the time. But this young kid told me a story, said he's going to finish the day before and he tried to come and meet us at the end of the walk. And I thought, okay, we took some pictures. I didn't know if he'd be there. Man, he showed up.
Really?
And he had his mom, but he couldn't remember where it was. And he heard the music of Matt playing down this cobblestone village, and he heard the music of all that, and we found him. And
wow.
we met, after we met his mom said, "Yeah, I run a nonprofit here in England, a couple nonprofits here in England." And as we got to talking, I introduced him to Pete Lewin. And that swim, Pete raised money for cancer. It was her nonprofit that we're raising money for. So all the people we could meet on the trail, we met the kid of the mom that we raised money for. It's just all that stuff happened. It was like, it wasn't dumb luck. There was a reason for us to be there. And there was a lot of that stuff happening. Her name was Sam, by the way, his mom. And then the night after, we're talking to Luke. We're seeing this jazz band, and Luke invited us guys to the table. We're there in Robin Hood's Bay, and I'm telling Luke the same story, and Luke just smiled. He goes, "Skip, my wife was named Sam."
Oh, wow. Really?
So, yeah, and it was just, I had tears, and they were coming pretty good a lot of different times, but it was confirmation I did my job. And I had friends like Chuck and like other people that even on social media, people were making comments. "Thanks for sharing. Thanks for doing this." I was coming back to them because I'm sitting on the floor soaking wet above a pub. And I'm tired. I'm worn out, and I didn't feel alone. I had that little social media stuff. When you make a little comment, you don't think nobody's looking. I was watching every one of them and trying to message back. So I'd like to thank everybody who did that, because it helped me, and it helped a lot of people there that goes on the page and looks at it, Shawn. But that's one of the things that really kept me going, and one of the things that I seen at the end of the walk and during the walk that happened. But I had so many stories. I met an American counselor, her and another woman, that she was a drug alcohol counselor. So I had a drug alcohol counselor if I needed, and I had this bright orange vest on. So they'd see up a mountain through the fog where I'm at, and they knew they were on the right path. And I had a lot of people make comments about that. They said, "Well, when I seen the orange thing, I knew we were in the right way." So it's like,
you're a beacon.
Yeah. Even if I said they didn't know I was lost. Did you know I was lost?
Something that I heard you say was that you were not alone. And one of the things that seems to come up as a recurring comment when you ask any guest on Burnout Podcast what they would say in that 30 seconds to someone who's going through something, most of them say, "You are not alone." And I think that's such a poignant thing to stop and think about at that moment. And the fact that you were there and that you, through the social media, through the people encouraging you, like in this completely desolate area where there's nothing but mountains and grass, like you are not alone.
No, I tell you, that's true. If you're out there and you feel alone, it's amazing that you're not alone. I put myself in a place where my mind that I thought I was different, that there was nobody there for me. I wasn't getting no support. When I just didn't know how to reach out for that support. What happened, I remember me and Chuck was walking one day and the sun happened to came out for 2 hours and we were taking an easy trail. And there's these things called the 9 standings, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was way up the mountain and Chuck was tired. I said, Chuck, I got to go up there. I don't know when I'm going to be back here. So I went up there and there was 2 ladies from Alaska that was up there and they followed my path when I was up there because you're going over the bogs and the bogs is like a muddy quicksand and you gotta find your way through with your poles and stuff about doing that. And, I had to do that. And once I got up there, I had to take another trail. It's called the Blue Trail. And I didn't know it, but later on, everybody was saying, don't take the Blue Trail. Well, it's not a trail. It's through the bogs. And you got to find these little sticks in the ground to know you're on the trail. Well, I got to a point and I had this sense of I had to stop. I looked up. I looked all the way around. I could see all the way around me. There's no trees there. It's beautiful. And I didn't have those wild thoughts, any thoughts in my mind. It was completely empty. All the burdens that I usually have were off my shoulder. And I felt this sense, it's okay to die now. Not in a negative way. It's okay. I was lifted up off the ground in my mind. And I felt this calmness come over me that I was in tears. And that's what we chase. We want the loud thoughts to go away. We want the burdens of those pictures that we see through the years to disappear. And I believe through doing things like this and getting out of self, that's when the miracle happens. And that was one of the most spiritual things. And I'm not that spiritual guy, religious guy. I try to be. But it was so profound. I'll remember that one day at a time for the rest of my life. And anybody that's out there and you don't got that kind of feeling, come with us. Go on our journey with us. Pick up that phone. Call us. Text us. Message us. Call somebody around you. Let them know you're not alone. If you feel like you are, man, reach out. You've been in fires. You've been in firefights. You've been on those bad calls right here. And they're hard. You can do this hard call. You pick up the phone and call somebody. But that's one of the things that happened to me. I was able to share that with people, with Luke, and just a lot of other things happened in that walk. And I know we're limited on time, but it was amazing getting to know Chuck. And Chuck's his captain, tries to be hard-nosed. And you got to have leadership. You got to be a certain way. You got to, whether you like it or don't like it. Man, I got to broke through that hard nose, see what kind person, to hear him talk to his kids and family on the phone when we could. Man, he is a kind-hearted guy. So if you work with him, that stuff's a mask. He's a good man. And I could not have finished this walk without him. And I'm not just saying that. There's no way I could have finished without him.
It reminds me of a Foo Fighters song that says, "It's times like these you learn to live again."
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's
love
true.
That. Skip, I think that number one, your commitment to everything that you do is just absolutely incredible. I remember you talking about this walk. I think it was March or April of this year. You had I think even on the phone or on a Zoom call with you, and you had this crazy idea, and I'm like, oh shit. This is where it starts. And as you started talking about, I'm like, there's no 190, there's no way. No. And then you started talking about booking your plane, and then you started talking about bringing other people on board with you. And next thing I know, you're packing up and gone. And I just want to say, from every single person out there that has struggles, or is just a human being, thank you for hearing the calling and for following and for just being an inspiration to people out there and carrying the message, man. You are, and I will continue to say, you're an amazing human being.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate my wife for supporting me so much. I appreciate Pete and Tracy and all the people from England, Linda, and just everybody that was there. There was a whole lot of stories in the stories, but it's not me. It's a team effort from everybody. And when it comes to peer support, there's no state lines. There's no country lines. There's no color. There's no language. Emotions are emotions. Trauma is trauma. And peer support and love thy neighbor is, from our world, that's what was instilled to me by some good spiritual people that taught me a lot. I'm still getting taught by the England people. They're so nice. We had somebody take us somewhere where it's at night, raining. They dropped us off somewhere. We had somebody else that brought us back to the point we stopped, and and these people showed up at the end of the walk. I met an Australian retired police officer. I met doctors on the trail that were medic doctors, and we had good conversations and what we were doing, and hopefully we can bring them on a podcast. But I'm looking forward to hearing Chuck's version later on in the podcast, the next series. But Shawn, I tell you, like I said, if you're alone, pick up that phone, call somebody. Everybody has a tough journey, but you do not have to do it alone. That's what I've learned.
Absolutely. And on that note, I want to be respectful of this show, because I don't think this show would be complete without you giving it the closing words. So first of all, thank you for letting me have the honor of interviewing you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you to close it out.
Well, thank you very much. I also like to thank Throttle and Thrive, our sponsor for throttleandthrive.com, Siobhan, for allowing us to do this show and spread the message through this. But, sometimes we get busy. You can hear the static between your ears, or the phone won't quit ringing. So here's what I do. Tonight, I'm going to shut the radio off. I'm going to shut my phone off. And I'm going to get some sleep. Thank you.